Hello, and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast as a part of my Beauty with a Purpose project, The Ripple Effect. Today we have our first guest, Dr. Jagdeo, who has over 15 years experience in the medical field in orthopaedics, and he also has a master's in sports medicine. So welcome, Dr. Jagdeo. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you very much for having me, Anna-Lise, and for me to be part of your project. My name is Dr.Jagdeo, and I am an orthopedic doctor who's registered with the medical board as a specialist. I have continued my education by doing a master's in sports medicine with the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. My interest in sports medicine arose because a lot of the patients I was seeing were persons who had injuries due to sport. And in my own way, I try to encourage my learning to see how I can help them get back to sport playing as early as possible.
Right.
My adventures in sports medicine took me many places. And at present, I perform a role with the Caribbean Premier League and the Women's Caribbean Premier League as a tournament doctor.
Right.
And for the Cricket West Indies as a tournament doctor. I've also had the benefit of being a team doctor for one of the international teams who were visiting for the T20 Cricket World Cup that was recently held in the USA and the West Indies. I believe that sports medicine is integral to a person's general health and well-being, and I'm happy to be part of your conversation today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Very impressive background, I must say. So I brought Dr. Jagdeo here today because, as you guys know, I'm very passionate about sports myself. I have a background in sports. I've played football, I've played rugby, track and field, you name it, I've done it. And sport is something that for me is not just a hobby, it's a passion, it's my way of life. And I wanted to bring Dr. Jagdeo here to talk about the impact that sport has from a medical perspective. Because, you know, as much as I can talk about it, I think it's really good to understand the science behind it. So would you be able to share a bit more about the physical health benefits that sport has on a person in terms of preventing illness, brain function, as we get older as well? You know, it's so important that we have that good foundation of health that we build, you know, from as early as possible.
Yes. So sport is integral to our well-being. Sport is an addiction. For those of us who are in sport and as yourself a player, you will sometimes find that you just levitate towards playing sport, being involved in physical activity. And this is because sport is an addiction. And I say it's an addiction because sport elicits what we call a neurochemical reaction in our body.
Right.
This reaction actually starts in our brain.
Okay.
And as a result, your body produces certain chemicals. These chemicals are known as endorphins.
Okay.
And they are known as dopamine.
Right.
They are known as serotonin. And these chemicals are what gives us a certain passion, a certain love for something.
Right.
These chemicals have a wide variety of effects on the body. They affect our emotional status. They affect our physical body. They affect our mental status. And the underlying reason that sport has such a tremendous benefit to persons is that these chemicals encourage your body to grow.
Right.
They improve blood flow to your brain. That helps improve cognition. It helps improve your mental acuity.
Yeah.
It helps improve your reflexes. It helps actually to decrease your risk of certain conditions such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So these are some of the effects that it has on the mental aspect of us. In terms of our emotional aspect, because these hormones are what we call happy hormones.
Yeah.
They increase your heart rate. They give you energy, help you burn energy. These hormones actually improve our mood. So for persons who play sport, you find that they're very energetic.
Yeah.
They are less likely to suffer depression, less likely to suffer anxiety. The only problem arises when you start to transition from recreational sport to a more competitive level of sport.
Yeah.
right? But for the average person, sport has a tremendous effect on your emotional ability. And getting into some form of sport is actually part of the treatment for a lot of persons with certain emotional issues such as depression and anxiety. And then lastly, on the physical aspect of our body, sport helps improve your muscle bulk. It improves your bone quality. And these two are in particular, are very important for our older population who are more likely to suffer from fractures if they fall. They tend to get very small and very frail, right? So it is actually well advised for older persons over the age of 60 to get into some form of sport, even if it is just casual walking. Other effects sport has on the body is it reduces your risk of a heart attack by helping control your blood pressure. It reduces your blood sugar. So if you're diabetic, it can help you control your blood sugar or reduce what medications you may have to be on. It can help improve your cholesterol. Right? And it also helps for certain chronic conditions like back pain, knee pains, shoulder pains. So sport as a whole has a tremendous, getting involved in sport as a whole has a tremendous effect on the whole person.
So we can call it a good addiction then.
Yes, it is a good addiction.
And I think that endorphins that you talked about, that's probably why I'm so happy all the time. Because I'm always playing sports. So I always feel happy. And I think, that it is an addiction. When I go a day and I don't play sports, I miss it. But it is a good addiction. I wish I had another word besides addiction, because sometimes I feel like it sounds a little bit negative, but actually it is something that's so positive, like you said. I mean, the benefits are endless, right? So I think there's a lot of people who sometimes feel wary of jumping into sports. Do you have any advice or tips for people who might be now starting out, who, might be afraid to take part in sports?
Oh, of course. I mean, getting involved in sport can appear very intimidating at first because you're entering an area you know absolutely nothing about. We may see examples of persons running, cycling, doing activities, and we wonder, well, what is right for me? So the first thing is to really not set an impossible goal.
Yeah, that's true, because then it seems unattainable.
Yes, correct. So, you aim for, probably just this week, I will take a walk around my neighborhood. And as you get more accustomed, you can elevate the activity that you are doing. Another important thing is sometimes get a friend. Because as we know, sport is usually a teamwork event. So as simple as getting a fellow family member or a neighbor or another friend that you have to walk with you in the evening can sometimes be more motivating.
Definitely.
Another aspect is to stick with something you may be familiar with. So if you are not accustomed lifting weights, then probably hold off on that if you're now getting involved.
Baby steps.
And take baby steps, right? So the easiest activity for most persons is just to start walking around the neighborhood. Or they will go to the gym and they just go on the treadmill for a little bit, right? And the other aspect is when you're getting involved in sport, it is not just important to jump straight in. You have to take care of your body. So if you're getting involved in sport, you have to look at things like your nutrition. You have to look at things like, how do I prevent injury? So do I need the proper shoes?
Warming up as well, and stretching.
Correct. So for those who are getting involved in sport, it is still important you do a bit of reading and a bit of research so that you will prevent yourself getting an injury. If you decide you're going to walk around your neighborhood but don't have a proper shoe, all of a sudden you're having ankle pain.
And
you're having knee pain, and you're trying to figure out, but I never had this before. And I'm trying to be healthy. And look, I have a new problem. And that is a very demotivating issue.
That's true,
So you want to set targets and goals and ensure you're in the correct environment so that you motivate yourself. You see a reward. Okay, this month I perhaps lost 3 pounds. I'm not aiming for 10. But I achieved 3 pounds.
Exactly. Celebrate the small wins.
The small wins. Right? So I would say that for somebody who's now getting into sport, take it simple. Don't be unrealistic with your goals. Set targets that you know you can achieve. Get a friend. Get somebody to get into the activity with you. Do a bit of reading. and ensure that whatever sport you are doing, you have the proper tools to do that sport.
Right. I love that. Summed it up perfectly. I want to jump back a little bit into the health benefits of sport. So a quote that I've always loved is a strong body, a stronger mind. I don't know if this is true, but from a medical perspective, do you think playing sports and exercise could actually make you smarter?
I don't think it will necessarily make you smarter.
Okay.
I think that it will give you tools that can improve your natural intellectual ability.
Right.
So as we were mentioning, getting in when you are doing a physical activity and certain chemicals, as we mentioned before, are released in addition to others, what you get is an increase in blood flow to the brain. As this blood flow increases, you get more oxygen, you get more nutrients to the brain. And these things help the brain as a whole.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, it can improve things like cognition, it can improve things like memory, it can improve your reflexes.
Yeah.
Those things can improve your own intellectual capabilities.
Right.
So they are a good tool. I wouldn't say that playing sport will necessarily make you smarter on its own.
Yeah.
But it will definitely create the correct environment for you to foster well in terms of educational aspects, in terms of any other projects that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? I think it will benefit.
Yeah. So essentially, you'll be performing at your best.
At your best, correct.
So
correct.
when you take care of yourself, when your body is performing at its best, then your brain can also perform
Correct.
at its best.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I love that. And I want to jump back as well. So I think when people think about exercising, they often think about the outdoors.
Yes.
And, you know, from my experience as well, I have found that spending time outdoors has had a really positive impact on my overall well-being. Have you observed that as well? You know, do you encourage patients when they exercise that they should go outdoors and spend time in nature? Do you think it has a positive impact?
So I will share with you my personal experience. Every evening, I sit down outside my house on a chair when the sun has gone down.
Yeah.
I spend about a half an hour outside. I have my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I have my kids. My wife is home. I invite her to come with me as well. And the two of us will sometimes sit down outside for a half an hour.
Yeah.
And that is because it is important to get outside.
Definitely.
We are outside a lot for work, but we are not really engaging with the outside. We are not observing the clouds. We're not feeling the breeze. We are not seeing the grass blowing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a correlation between improvement in mood and persons who spend time outdoors. And that is because, in a very similar manner to playing sport, when you see these things that make you happy, similar hormonal releases are the same pathway.
Right.
And therefore you see that you want to come back outside more because it makes you happy.
Yes. That addiction again.
That addiction again.
Yes.
Right? And as a result, you know, most persons who engage in sport will be outside.
Yes.
Right?
I can attest to that.
And most persons who are training, you either train in a park, an open environment, but you may play your sport in a stadium.
Yeah.
But you're always outside.
Yeah.
And being outside is good for your mood. It's good for your mental health. Sometimes it's just good to get a bit of time for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So yes, I agree with that position.
And of course, from your background, you've spent a lot of time with different athletes. Have you observed, you know, certain characteristics or traits that you find athletes have as opposed to non-athletes? You know, certain, I guess, like character defining characteristics that you think came from sport, from playing sports?
Yes. So, as we mentioned before, fundamentally, sport is a team event, and that has a social component to it.
Yes.
So, athletes by nature are more outspoken, they're more assertive, they know what they want.
Yeah.
They are more decisive because they will make decisions. This is about playing on the team. So, they will make decisive decisions to play on the team.
Yeah.
They are more confident. They have better posture. They eat better. They know how to take care of themselves better.
Yeah.
And all of that is because of the motivation to play.
Yeah.
That is a stark difference from most of us who are, you know, we really are taken up with work.
Yeah.
We are taken up with our family. We are taken up with all the other aspects of our life. And there's a noticeable difference in kids who engage in sport at an early age, not overdoing it, but just engaging in sport. And sport is encouraging kids because for those same attributes. It helps them with discipline. It helps them grow confidence. It helps them to get to talk. To talk for themselves.
Yes, exactly. And when you learn that from a young age, as you get older, you have that foundation already.
Yes, you carry that with you.
Yeah.
And then it teaches them how to take care of their body, how to eat properly.
Yeah.
So they will understand when you're not giving them the nice snacks.
Yeah.
They will understand the importance of eating their fruits and their vegetables.
Yeah.
Because they want to play for TKR. Or they want to make the West Indies team. Or they want to make their school team.
Yeah, exactly.
So they will be eating the correct foods. So there's a stark difference in terms of the characteristics of athletes and non-athletes. And that is because of the influence of sport on them.
Well, I think you said it so perfectly. I mean, there are just endless reasons why we should engage in sports, why we should spend more time outdoors. The science is proving it. It makes us happier. It improves our brain function. It allows us to perform at our best. And not only that, it also improves the characteristics that we have as a person. We become more confident, more assertive, more resilient. So I think really the power of sports is just so endless. And thank you so much, Dr. Jagdeo, for joining me here today. I think the audience will really, really appreciate everything that you've said, all of those tips as well. I think we spoke about, the importance of small wins and taking baby steps. I know that sport can be daunting. I know when I first started sports, I was very, very afraid. My father always wanted to have at least one football in the family. So I really wanted to live up to his dream, but I was so nervous because I actually was not good at sport at all when I first started. And I was so afraid to join. But, as weeks went by, as months went by, I started to get better. I made a lot of friends. And that community that I have has stayed with me. They're cheering me on at Miss World when I won. So I just want to encourage anybody who's feeling a little bit shy or afraid, don't be afraid to go for it and start small. It's okay. You're not going to become Kishon Walcott tomorrow, but I guarantee you that you're going to feel happier. You're going to feel better about yourself if you just go for a walk or, as Dr. Jagdeo does, spend a few moments outside looking at the clouds, looking at the sunsets. Thank you for watching.